up, people, man? You want to talk about victory shows? Flannel, something tells me it's going to be one of those weeks again where it's just, you get a victory show, you get a victory show, you get a victory show. This time, help me if I miss somebody here. The Red Wings won.
Yes.
The Pistons won.
Yep.
Who else won?
Michigan basketball, and unfortunately for myself, Michigan State basketball also won. But you know what? For the sake of the state of Michigan, it was just a great night of sports.
That was
no matter who you root for, no matter who your favorite Detroit sports team is or your favorite college, you got to win last night.
Hey, you got a dub last night. And it was so beautiful, especially on the heels of the main dish, the Detroit Lions getting that big dub. Hey, look, it's Wake Up Woodward, chat family. Thank you guys for choosing to kick off your day with the Woo crew. Shout out to the Pistons, man. Buzzer beater. It's your boy Brandon Dan, a.k.a. Detroit Koolaid, your credential Pistons reporter and writer for the network. Flannel Sam, the vet of the squad, the vet of the network, our Red Wings correspondent, and all sports knower. You want to tell the people what we're going to be talking about today?
Well, we've got a jam-packed show, and there was so much winning that we're going to have to skip over a few because we got to certainly talk some Lions. There were a couple of players that we noticed went down, and because it's a short week, their availabilities for Thursday are uncertain. We're going to talk about that. There was some news involving the Jameson Williams situation, which we're going to talk about as well.
Yes, sir. J-Mo free.
We got Justin in the house, so we got to talk about those Red Wings getting a big win last night, but also what does it mean for the season? And also, we are going to do our top 10 lists. I'm sure you guys are going to agree with 100% of what mine is. Of course you won't, but you know what? You're gonna get it anyway. So we got a jam-packed show. But first, Kool-Aid.
Hey,
the Pistons.
Look, bro, I'm in the mood right now, bro.
Yeah.
Victories for everybody.
The Pistons needed a win in the worst way, and they got one.
They got one, man. You know what? Let me introduce this crew, and we got to talk about these Pistons. Shout out to our brother Matthew Broder. We love you, man. Keep crushing Woodward and Maine, and everybody else is in the building. That dude Justin and Cavassier Chase. What up, Doe?
Hey, let's go.
Hey, how's it going, guys? This is the they got the couch in here. We got the Cavassier couch. So.
Double nameplate too. That's crispy.
Yeah. Shout out to JB for that. Yeah, we got rocking the winning school on here, and then Justin.
Yeah, I was just waiting for him to say that.
His school can't win, so he'll rock Michigan.
Don't worry about it.
Western and Central. Look what we've done, man. All four of the schools represented on today's show. In the sound booth, we got Detroit's #1 draft pick. That is KG, a.k.a. Black Hollywood.
Yes, sir. Hey, feeling good, man. A lot of teams. This is almost a better victory, show than yesterday. But despite Tobias Harris's best efforts, the Pistons still somehow won.
Always got to bring up, you know what?
Always got to bring up Tobias.
He sucked last night. But who cares? Who cares?
Despite his best efforts, they still won.
Hey, look. Woodward Sports MVP. It's a Tuesday. It's a victory show. Double victory for JB Smooth in the titty booth. What up, though, brother? Woodward Sports MVP.
Damn, like, come on. MVP. It was a double victory last night because I did the Michigan betting trifecta. So give me the Wings, give me Michigan State, Michigan minus 10.5, and of course I took the Pistons money line as well too. So nice little cash out on there as well too. I'm not repping the team, but shout out those Michigan Panthers though.
Hey, shout out to the Michigan Panthers. Hey, without them, there is no Jake Bates.
That is factual.
Definitely.
Man,
but
always indebted to them then.
Those Detroit Pistons, the environment last night, it was epic. And for a little bit there, you could hear the Raptors fans. And then I was talking to some of the people in media like, man, they're not as loud as I'm used to. And then all of a sudden, they got a lead. Scotty Barnes hit a couple threes. And the Raptors fans started to be just drowning out the Detroit Pistons fans. As that fourth quarter started to go, and you saw the Detroit Pistons were going to fight without Cade Cunningham in the game, they did not play a good game. Check this out, bro. 23 offensive rebounds given up. They gave up 23 offensive rebounds. They gave up 25 second chance points. And they beat the Raptors, who they held to under 30% shooting from behind the arc and under 40% shooting from the floor. They beat them by 2 points. The defense, though, there was a lot to like there. And that's where I definitely want to make sure we tip the cap to Jalen Duren, a guy whose name has been brought up a lot, and rightfully so, for his defense. And last night, a lot of us in media were talking about this as well. The fact that it looked night and day.
Yeah.
Jalen Duren, 4 blocks last night. Isaiah Stewart, 3 blocks last night. And JB Bickerstaff, again, re-echoed in post-game that these guys are the anchor. They have the most responsibility. And he said this, and it was something that we kind of got at last week, that he's putting the onus on those guards to be better defensively so that there's less downhill pressure on them. And he believes that, with Asar Thompson coming back, that will help. But I definitely want to make sure that we shouted those guys out, the big men, because I think that sometimes that can get lost in translation. But a big double-double from Jalen Duren with the blocks. Isaiah Stewart's playing big. And primarily what I loved about Jalen Duren, his ability to play help side. And like I said, it seemed like it was just happened overnight, which means to me, this is about coaching, this is about development, and this is why in those other games where we saw Jalen Duren go to the bench for a long time, JB's not playing around.
Yeah.
You play defense, or you're going to hit the bench a little bit, and you're going to learn from the sideline a little bit. And then you see Jalen Duren starting to put together a couple nice games. So whatever is going on in that locker room between these young players and JB Bickerstaff, man, it is working.
Jalen Duren played a huge role in the Pistons winning last night. And I'll tell you what, I don't care if it was the Raptors. I don't care if it was at home. I don't care if it was a little bit ugly. When you can win a game in the NBA with your best player out, especially when if you lose that, you risk your season cratering a little bit. That was an absolutely huge win. And it was also huge for you, Koolaid, because I'll tell you what, I'll let you behind the third wall. Koolaid is a generational Scotty Barnes hater.
Yeah.
That's a fact. You don't understand, man. I was sitting with another one last night. I'll let him remain nameless. But yeah, we were just sitting here like, not him. Not him. He hit like a couple threes in a row and started doing his little whatever.
Yeah.
Danced at center court on the Detroit logo, hit Malik Beasley's celebration. We were like, are you serious? People around us were livid. But it's not like they can do anything. It's not they're mad at the Pistons. Like, you're losing to these bums? Like, if they were pissed.
He was abusing whoever was in front of him, man.
Bro,
whether it was Tobias or a switch off, it didn't matter.
Yeah, Davion Mitchell, his defense, man, at the top of the key was crazy. That's just a side note. Like, I don't even want to say anything positive about the Raptors, but defense is something that just, in basketball especially, where I'm just like, yo, you got to tip the cap to him. He was doing a great job to try and disrupt their flow. And that's why I want to also call it out, because JB Bickerstaff did a great job at adjusting. This is stuff that we've been wanting to see. What can he do offensively to adjust, help his team out even more down the stretch? We know that they're going to struggle. They're going to go through ups and downs, adjusting to what it means to win. They haven't done this. All the previous 3 years, what was the promise? It was the same thing we heard this year. Well, first it was we're going to learn to compete. And in the last couple years, it was we're finally ready to compete. Night in and night out. You guys are going to realize that we're a different team. But this year, they're actually doing it. This year, we see the young guys taking steps forward. This year, we're seeing young guys literally making changes within games, correcting all mistakes and such, and finding ways to overcome losses of players, trying to find ways to overcome their own mistakes, man. And so I definitely want to tip the cap to JB Bickerstaff as well, because obviously the star was Jaden Ivey.
Jaden Ivey played maybe the best game I've ever seen him play, like, period, at any level, certainly with the Detroit Pistons, especially given the magnitude of it, because obviously the Pistons, they played a really nice team defense game, but offensively, Jaden Ivey put them on his back. This was a game in which Tobias Harris and Malik Beasley gave you bupkis. Both of them were just throwing up so many bricks that you could build a building. But you know who barely shot any bricks? It was Jaden Ivey, 10 of 13, 2 of 4. And how poetic was it that Jaden Ivey, one of his biggest weaknesses is finishing at the rim. It was. But you know what? When the team needed him, when they needed him to get like a floater to win the game, he went out and did it. And that was an important win.
Do you understand, like, going to these practices the last couple years and seeing him specifically practice that, but then last year not really seeing him do the floater? His in-between game, for some reason, disappeared, both his mid-range shot and the floater. This year, they've come back. When you look at his advanced stats and you start to look at Jaden Ivey's numbers, you will see that last year, for whatever reason, Monty Williams cratered his ability to play in the middle. I have no idea why. I don't know why. This year, all those percentages, both his attempts and his efficiency in the mid-range and in the floater range, both of those are up. I'm talking about like over 20-30% over last year. That's insane.
No, Weezy D313 say I be just making shit up when I said he wasn't finishing at the rim good.
No, he was not finishing at the rim good last year. This year, he's doing it much better than he was last year. And his mid-range is where I'm specifically even keying in on. But his ability to hit that floater and to see them practicing and this stuff, and now to see it, like I said, showing up in the games. Like, you look at some of the content we've posted, it's been literally like, they're like, why are you posting Ivy practicing floaters? Then he wins a game with one. Because it's cool to be able to track and to see these guys' progress. Why? Because over the last 3 years, do you know how crazy it is to see the potential, but you don't see the progress?
I mean, you know better than anybody. You're in the building.
I've seen it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's why last season in so many ways was so frustrating for you.
Oh my God.
Because you're telling us that Jaden Ivey's practicing it. It looks like he's improving, but in the game you didn't see a whole lot. But then again, with how Jaden Ivey has played for the most part this season, we can attribute pretty much all of what ailed him last year to Monty Williams. All of what ailed the team last year to Monty Williams. I mean, obviously they weren't a great team. They weren't a super talented team, but Monty Williams did not maximize them.
Preach on it, bro.
Not even a little bit. He minimized them.
All you had to do at the very least, if you don't know what you're doing or you're having some struggles with helping them develop, just play the lineups at the very least and see what you have. And he didn't even do that. Like, I saw, shout out to Vinny Goodwill of Yahoo Sports, here of Detroit, Michigan, but he's one of our greats on a national scale. Like definitely support his work. He was like, bro, Monty Williams had Jaden Ivey sitting behind Killian Hayes last year.
Nuts.
That's insane. When you look at the fact that we were wondering and questioning, it was a question. This is silly. It was a question. Is Jaden Ivey a top 100 NBA player? Yes. Yes, like it's not even a question anymore, and that's why I like the way that we cover these things and that we stay consistent with it, because you can go back and you can track exactly what we've been stating. And even though we wanted to see more, we were bullish on what we believed he could do, and we were going to give this thing some time under JB Bickerstaff, who has shown the ability to get more out of young players.
Absolutely, you've seen it with how they've started, and like I said at the beginning, you could not lose that game. And there were some times where it looked a little iffy. I'll just say that, and no pun intended to Melifonwu. It's just it looked a little bit iffy. But you know what? They came back. They got the win. Jaden Ivey pretty much carried that team offensively. Defensively, they had one of their better games. And you know what? Doesn't always have to look pretty.
No, it doesn't.
No Cade. I'm not going to say no Cade, no problem. It was no Cade, and you survived.
Yeah, you did. And that's what you want to see out of this team. Why? Because we want to see Jaden Ivey take that step. When you see what Zach LaVine is doing right now in the years, when you realize why we were saying that's a piece that you want to add to this squad. When you look at the Pistons, they're doing pretty well on the year as it relates to points, opponent points allowed. They're fourth in the East. Ooh. The problem is when they're differential, they're the only team in the tops that lands in that top six that they have the biggest negative differential between their points scored and their points allowed, though. Yeah. They're at 109 points scored, but only giving up 111 per game. You want to see them get a little bit better with that, and that's where the Jaden Ivey we saw last night, that's the Jaden Ivey we have to continue to see even when Cade Cunningham comes back. It's got to literally be, like we've been saying, a 1A and a 1B, not just a Robin. He can't be a Robin for this lineup. He has to be basically Superman to Cade's Batman.
Yeah, and he stepped up big time, in the absence of Cade. So shout out to him. I wanted to ask you about Asar Thompson really quick because the stats weren't there. Of course, this was his first game back, I believe, but I like the difference he makes on the floor already, man. You can just tell that there's a substantial difference when he's on the floor guarding people.
Doing what? Like, what all was he doing?
Well, not necessarily.
No, I'm serious. No. What were some of the things you saw? It's a reason
he had
for that.
some assists. He was able to grab some boards. He had about 5 points.
There you go.
Of course, we need him to work on his scoring a little bit more, but the fact that he can cover 1 through 5 in the lineup, I think is going to be beneficial for the team.
But that's why I asked, because as soon as he got into the game, you saw him doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
With Asar Thompson, we know it's not going to be about what the stats are when you first get back from a blood clot injury. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And he's been trying to ramp up, but he has not been allowed to play 5-on-5 or contact or anything. And all of us know that's going to affect you doing anything. If you're not in rhythm, you're going to have to take at least a couple weeks to get in rhythm. But what we saw last night, it was a little bit of everything. He can handle the rock, which is going to take some usage pressure off of Cade Cunningham. And honestly, I think put Jaden Ivey and Cade in their best spots as better off-ball shooters than Asar Thompson.
Despite the fact that he his scoring inefficiencies. I mean, in his season debut, kind of reared their ugly head again. After last night's game, even though Ausar Thompson played limited minutes, I am more convinced than ever that if he didn't start the season, obviously being out with that blood clot, that the Pistons would have at least 10 wins.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, because and ultimately it's the defense.
Yeah.
Ausar Thompson was a player. Let me put it this way: Jaden Ivey was a player drafted to co-star with Cade Cunningham. Ausar Thompson was a player drafted to drop Cade Cunningham's usage rate on both ends of the court, and I know that because the organization said that when they drafted him. And so when you see him on both ends being able to guard those ones, he's going to be one of those players that makes life better for everybody else. How Cade does on the offensive side, think about what Ausar does now for Ron Holland, who doesn't have to guard the ones. See, and that's what I'm saying. All across the board, these guys who've been peaking defensively now you got your best defender. That's what we're projecting coming back to the lineup in Ausar Thompson. And just really quickly, we're a little bit over 23, approaching the quarter-way mark of the season. 23% of the season through. The Pistons right now on a pace to win about 32 games.
Okay,
let's go.
They are still in playoff positioning. And when we talk about the 5 teams you got to be better than, right now they're above. These are the 6 teams they're ahead of: Chicago, Atlanta, Charlotte, Toronto, Philly, Washington. I'm going to tell you right now, this squad should be a play-in team this year.
Ooh.
Period. They
like
still
it.
sit in ninth. They're about a game outside of literally like one of the top 6 spots. I'm sorry, they should be a play-in team at worst.
I agree as long as Cade Cunningham's healthy.
Exactly.
I don't know how much longer
If
he's going to
everything
be
works out.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I could definitely see it. And like I've said numerous times, one of the ways that you make that happen is you survive in advance. That's what they did last night. They survived in advance. They didn't crater their season. Not that loss would have cratered it, but it would have been tough. It would have been
teams
devastating.
Find ways to win games like last night. You know how I know? Because how many times did we see the Pistons last year or even the years before playing good teams down to the wire, but then those good teams, they come away with wins looking just like that. I sat there and saw the Pistons lose game after game after game, heartbreakers in the fourth quarter. Last night, they found a way to come out on top, and they've done it several times, and now they sit with 8 wins on the season, and realistically kicking themselves knowing that they should be above 500 right now.
They should, but 8-11, 19 games in, you can't complain.
Not at all.
You can't complain. And you also can't complain when you go to Planet Fitness, because Planet Fitness is the best gym that there is. It's not